We are back with a brand new video. What is good, Heat Nation? In today's video, we're going to be talking about one player on the Heat's roster that has the most potential, in my opinion, to break out and have a season close to his former self after coming off of two massive injuries. Before we get into it, though, make sure you guys drop a like if you guys are, interested, and if you guys like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Please. We are on the road to 3,000 subscribers, and I'm very appreciative of getting to 2,000, but we're not stopping here. We want to get to 3K as soon as possible. So make sure you guys subscribe if you guys are new. Follow my Twitter in the description. I will be hosting spaces and stuff like I do like 2 spaces a week usually. So if you guys are just interested in just chopping it up about Heat basketball, follow my Twitter in the description. And then last but not least, I will be uploading a video today on my second channel. Probably have already by the time you guys are watching this video. Just NBA content, college basketball content, rankings, gradings, discussions, stuff like that. If you guys are interested, make sure you guys subscribe to that channel. It'll be in the pinned comment. Yeah, now that we got all that out of the way, thank you all for listening to that. Let's get right into it. So the player we're going to be talking about today is none other than a player who I think has a lot of potential to return back to his former self, or even eclipse what he was before his 2 massive injuries, and that is Victor Oladipo. And the reason is I've been very impressed by his dedication in the offseason. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been very, thoroughly impressed with everything I've been seeing from him. I know, some players post their stuff on social media and some players do not, but he looks like he's back on a mission. He even titled it the Revenge Tour. He's back for blood, man. That's what he is. He even posted, I think yesterday, talking about everybody's food. So he has that hunger to return back to his former self after coming off of 2 major injuries. This will be his first off season since those 2 major surgeries that he had last season. He came in the middle of the season. He didn't really have a full off season to rehab and stuff. He did, but he didn't have a full off season to kind of get his body underneath him. This season, he's coming off of a healthier season, and he will be looking to even take that up a notch after showing a lot of nice flashes and moments in the playoff run from last season. Now, the reason I'm talking about Oladipo and not Kevin Durant or Donovan Mitchell is because I think we've all kind of gotten tired of that whole Donovan Mitchell, Kevin Durant situation, because I think everybody knows what's up. It's a stalemate right now, and no one really knows what's going to go on in the next couple of days and weeks and months. But I think as of right now, everybody knows that the packages that the Jazz and the Nets want are far greater asking prices than what teams are willing to give them. So that's why they're at a stalemate, and we're just going to be sitting here with no other information unless something happens. And I don't think the Jazz or the Nets have to move particularly quickly, because none of these players are players who are on the last year of their deals. And as for Mitchell's situation, he never even requested a trade. So I think we're not going to see anything pretty soon. I think this is going to take some time. It's going to drag out, and we might even see a possibility where both of these players are on their current teams when training camp starts. So I wanted to take a whole break from that whole situation. I think we've all gotten tired of it. I do want to focus on people who are currently on the roster, because I know they will be on the roster. So that's why I'm talking about Oladipo, because I genuinely think that he has he has a huge opportunity in front of him, and if he takes that opportunity and seizes it, which I think he will, based off of the indications that I've seen from him in this offseason so far, he can be a huge crucial contributor to this team going forward. After Jimmy and Bam, the Heat have kind of missed that consistent third option. Now, it had been Hero in the regular season. In the playoffs, he had his struggles, not only with injury, but even when he was out there, he just did not look the same, because he just was not used to teams focusing in on him so much. So we really lacked a third complementary piece, and even Bam at times was just being very passive. So apart from Jimmy, really, we didn't really have that second or third scorer consistently. I think that's what we really missed, and that's why a lot of people want Durant, a lot of people want Mitchell, because that's for sure, those are 2 players who are not shy of shooting the ball, and they are consistent half-court scoring threats. I think the main reason why I'm so excited for Victor Oladipo this season is because he provides something that not a lot of people on this Heat roster does, and that is getting to the rim. I think we have only maybe a handful of players at most who can get to the rim at will. Obviously, Jimmy's in there. I think Bam, when he wants to, is in there. And then, after that, I think Hero, he still has to show me that he has consistency in breaking down his defender and getting to the rim without having, to ask for a screen for help. I think Lowry kind of has lost that burst. so far. Like he's shown flashes again. Like these are players who've shown flashes, but on a consistent basis, I don't think they're really guys who attack the rim a lot and do it with success. Caleb Martin, I think, is the closest player to do so, but even he is not really like an offensive threat. He's a very athletic player, which is why I'm throwing him in that category a little bit. But I think it's mainly Jimmy and Devin. Apart from that, like there's really no one else on the roster who can really do that. I think Victor Oladipo is the guy because he, at his All-Star peak, he was a guy who was getting to the rim at ease, man. And even in college in Indiana, this is a guy who's compared to D Wade coming out of Indiana. Like everybody knew he had the potential to be a elite slasher, and he's shown that. And since coming back from his injury, he's even shown some flashes of getting to the rim as well. Like I think the reason it's so important for having players who can get to the rim is because they just open up so much on the offensive end, because it just forces players to help and rotate off of your dribble penetration. So once a player goes to the rim, you're having another guy come help that leaves a shooter open or that leaves the dump off open. I've seen there was one play that I saw on Twitter today where Oladipo drove to the rim, drew the big, and he was able to dump it off the Ben for an easy layup. These are not flashy plays, but plays like this is what gets the job done. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why it's so important to have a guy who can break down the defense consistently, and that is not a big, because I know Bam can do it, but you're relying on Bam to finish those those plays down low. I'm talking about a guy on the perimeter who can do it. And apart from Jimmy Butler, I don't really see anyone on this roster who can really do it as consistently. But I think that's where Victor Oladipo, like I said, comes in, because at his best, he was a guy who was getting to the rim at ease. Now, when he came back from his injury last season, he turned more into like a shooter, a guy who was spotting up sometimes creating his shots for step back threes. He wasn't getting to the rim as much as he was before, obviously, because he's coming off of 2 major injuries and surgeries and stuff. So I can understand why. But from everything that I've seen, he thinks he can be better than his all-star self. I'm not sure if that's just media talk or if he actually believes that. But if he does, that's a mindset you have to have. And I'm not sure if I believe that, because at his all-star self, this dude was an all-NBA player, and it's very tough for me to imagine two injuries after that this guy's going to be better than he was before. But I'm pulling for the guy. I hope that he's better, because I think he's the wild card for this team. Because if he shows up next season and if he's killing it, then he might be the answer. He might have been the answer all along. We never know. But I think it's so important that this guy gets a full training camp, a full off season under his belt where he's fully healthy, no rehab, no surgery. It's just him. No excuses. He just goes out there, puts in the work, and gets back to his all-star self is what he wants to do. And I'm with him, man. I think that Victor Oladipo really has a chance to take a big leap. I heard someone ask him about this in his interview after he was signed with the Heat. Someone asked him if he's ever thought about winning Most Improved Player again. It's a possibility. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think it's ever happened that a player has won Most Improved Player twice, but I don't think it's gonna happen for that reason itself, because I don't think the NBA will give, it's not like a award like the MVP or the Defensive Player of the Year. Most Improved Player is an award where a player improves drastically from what he was before. Now, I don't think the NBA is gonna give that to a player twice. You know what I'm saying? So that, I think, because we would have seen guys like even Giannis from his Most Improved Player to his MVP, he improved a lot, but he still didn't get that award. So I don't know if he's gonna get that award, but I think that's a possibility. I think that this is a guy who I was very intrigued when we signed him back, because I thought from everything that I was seeing, he wanted a starting spot. And he wanted, a role that could show that could show the league that he's still that guy, and he wanted to prove himself. And I was very surprised that he, signed back with the Heat, because from everything that I was seeing, like I saw reports from like Jake Fisher saying that he's as good as gone, and he came back. So it's like, like unless the Heat have not guaranteed him, obviously they're not going to guarantee anyone anything, but they probably told him, like, we'll experiment with you in the starting lineup sometimes, and we'll see what happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I doubt they said, okay, you're the starter, but I wouldn't be surprised if they told him that they might experiment with him in the starting lineup and see how it works. And he wanted to be here all along. He's gonna be playing for a championship contender, and he's gonna be able to prove himself if he gets that opportunity. So this is a win-win situation for him. And if it doesn't work out, the best part is that the Heat have restructured his contract to where they can trade him during the deadline. And obviously, I don't want to see him go, but that's just what I'm saying. Like, the Heat have played this perfectly because, you know, they've given the guy a chance to prove himself again after a full offseason, a full training camp. And if it doesn't work out, you can part ways with them at the deadline. So this is a perfect opportunity for Victor Oladipo to prove why he is that guy who can help and take the pressure off of Jimmy when needed. And he can be that guy who's just providing that unique skill set of getting to the rim and breaking down the defense. And that's why I'm so excited to see him play, because, you know, he just has that in him. You know, even I would even say more than Jimmy. In his prime, Victor Oladipo was a pure slasher. He didn't really have the shot like that. His whole archetype was based off of getting to the rim. And, you know, I think that, you know, if he gets even 80% of what he was before, it's going to be crazy, because I don't think people are going to expect it. And he can truly be a wild card as to why the Heat are successful this season. And he's going to have to be, because we've lost a big piece in PJ Tucker. We haven't really filled that void yet. You know, the power forward position on the market is not really the best right now in free agency. So if we get a power forward, it's going to have to be through trade. But I think Victor Oladipo is going to play a big part in filling a lot of, you know, holes in this team. If we strike out on a KD, if we strike out on a Mitchell. Now, if we get KD or Mitchell, obviously Victor Oladipo's role will be lessened. But I'm talking about as of right now, I think Vic has a great opportunity ahead of him that he has to seize. And I think he's going to play a big part. He's going to surprise some people, man. I don't think a lot of people are expecting him to take that jump, but I am, especially because he's hungry. You know, you can see it. He's just motivated. So, yeah, that's why I wanted to talk about him, man. I'm just super impressed by his dedication in the offseason, and I hope that, you know, he proves me right. But yeah, I'm going to leave it off there, man. I'll see you later as always.